Now, this all happened in 1994-95. Elizabeth May and I had worked on some environmental stuff, and she had gotten, because we were curious, like, how could the Liberals do this to us? How could they turn around and be the Conservatives? What the hell was going on? So Elizabeth, the Sierra Club of Canada, and the Halifax Initiative got together, and they went to the huge hassle of getting access to information for what's called the 1994 IMF program for Canada. How many people here, I hope you do know, but I don't mind defining who exactly the IMF is? Okay, some don't. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is not a bank. They don't loan to you. What they do is they help you structure your loan if you aren't in proper payment of it. So think muscle for a loan shark. You don't see these guys unless you haven't paid off, right? And if you haven't paid off, the IMF knocks at your door and they go, hi, we have some great ideas for you. They're all secret, by the way, so don't tell the population. But we want you to do this thing called structural adjustment. That sounds kind of nice. It means you restructure your economy to pay back your creditors. It doesn't mean you restructure your economy to make it more efficient, which is the way they make it sound, or to make it more competitive, or all those other wonderful shark-like words they enjoy. It means you restructure your economy so that the financial institutions that are now taking us down into the black hole can get their money, and so that you will not get anything that you want. Now, our governments could have said, well, okay, we'll cut our embassies, or we'll cut back on lots of things, parks. I mean, we'll do, we won't have so much infrastructure, something, but we got to keep our healthcare. But no, the IMF doesn't like that. And in every case where we have managed to get IMF programs out of the secrecy in which they are enshrouded, and believe me, they're really covered up now, because the first thing Stephen Harper did was strengthen or weaken the access to information law, so you cannot find this. So every year since 1995, we have gotten a program from the IMF saying what we should do. And what the IMF said that year was basically, first of all, they didn't want the GST cut. Remember how we didn't cut the GST? Well, the IMF didn't want him to do that. They ordered him to cut spending to education. They actually said that we have too many people with post-secondary educations in Canada. That's kind of icky. We got to cut that back. So they suggested that instead of bursaries, we have loans. How many people have kids who cost them $15,000 or $20,000 to get a BA? Or more? Right. Didn't used to. Used to be able to get bursaries. But the IMF in 1995 said, we want you to get rid of the bursaries and start with loans. We want you to cut Via Rail. We want you to cut the CBC, the NFB. Oh yeah, and we want you to stop doing government oversight for food testing and water testing. This was 2 years before Walkerton, and how many now before the listeriosis outbreak? These are IMF policies. And they are across the board in the countries that owe money to the IMF. And countries like Venezuela, who told the IMF to go, and Brazil, who told the IMF to go jump and said we won't pay them, really upset. I mean, when Brazil said, here's your money, we're not going to do structural adjustment, the IMF was distraught. They don't want the money. They want the structural adjustment. So they got it, and their structural adjustment has an agenda, and the agenda is to privatize the healthcare system, because there's a lot of big medical corporations, drug companies, and HMOs out there that want to get their hands on Canada and every other country that's got public